Come here, little sausage. Come on. Come on. Hey. You're all tangled on my hair. Oh no. Ow. Why? Well, it's a new year. New year. New me. Trying to record another video. It's only been like 2 years since I did my last proper one. That was a whopping 45 minutes long. For my sake and for yours, that's not happening this time. I'm going to make a series of videos about my most recent project. So of course I've got my old project on the screen. This one, when did I finish this? In September? So that was a few months ago now. And since the day I released it, I have been saying that I'm going to make a series of YouTube videos on it, and I haven't even started recording. It's the 2nd of January today. I'm recording now. Maybe I'll delete this later. We'll see. So, what's the plan? So instead of one long 45-minute video, going to be about maybe 6 shorter videos. Might be like 2 minutes long, might be 10 minutes long. See how long I can ramble for. I'm going to talk about this project, obviously, and I'm just going to briefly talk about my last project, which is what my last video is about, which is this one. So, this was done 2 years ago. I've learned a lot since then, I've done a lot since then. So, when I did my last video, I was working for Creative Assembly. I was doing environment art on Total War Warhammer 2. Since then, I've left that job. I've taken a year out and I've done some travelling and I've done some freelancing, which is super awesome because I think it's the big scary thing. Can you do freelance as an artist and not starve to death? I probably would have starved to death if I didn't have lovely family and friends who were willing to put me up. And while I was doing that year off, I started turning the wheels on starting working at Rare. So that's where I am now and have been since September also. So that's been really cool. I'm really enjoying it. I'm working on Everwild, which was announced recently. So that's my little life update for you. I will stop talking about me now. This project that's on my screen, this was just fully hand painted, no normal maps. What did I learn from this? I really like making dioramas and I haven't stopped. This was a really fun project to do. It's a little bit messy, a little bit noisy, but I have noise in the right places and so on. I'm not going to go into tons of detail because you can have 45 minutes of that if that's what you want to hear. I guess I'll link the video in the description. Is that what it is? I mostly learned that for a little while I didn't want to do fully hand painted stuff, as in no normal maps. I wanted to go back into sculpting a little bit, so that's what I ended up doing for my next project. This started out as a project that was it was part of a course that I was teaching online for this thing called Game Art Institute. So that's where it began. I was teaching concepting through to, I guess, even inspiration gathering, like very early stuff, concepting, blocking out, material generation, texturing, all the good stuff. And this is what I ended up making. So it started out with let's have a look on. It started out with this. And you can see there in the GIF as well, there's a block out that it comes from. So there it is without the GIF. So I did this for my class. And then built the damn thing in Unreal. In this video, I'm going to talk firstly about gathering inspiration. These aren't random ideas for what I'm going to talk about, by the way. I did put on my Twitter, because I do social media now, like a post asking what people wanted to hear. It was basically, the general consensus was everything, all of the stuff. So I'll be covering things like how I do the water shader on here. If I hit play, I've got little fish swimming around. So I'll talk about how I did those in later videos. People wanted to know how I concept, how I plan and organize projects, how I keep stuff efficient without getting carried away on micro details or stuff that doesn't need to be there. So I'm going to just try and cover everything over the course of multiple videos. So inspiration gathering, let's begin there. I've already been talking for 7 minutes, so I'm really sorry about that. I will try and keep it brief. I will fail. But hey, gathering inspiration, it's hard. It's hard to even find a place to start, like regardless of gathering inspiration, just finding a thing to be inspired about is really hard. Finding a place to put your energy that doesn't feel like it's going to be a waste, particularly for school projects. I remember sitting for hours with sheets of paper, writing down massive lists forever, trying to come up with a cool, unique, interesting, probably edgy final major project. It's 20 weeks long. You don't really want to do it wrong, whatever wrong is. So I was like writing, and then one of the ideas I'd written was base it on my favourite books, which are these books by an author called Robin Hobb, fantasy books. I'll have talked about this in my last video. I ended up just going for doing these scenes based on Robin Hobb's stuff, completely cut out all of the world building crazy crap that I'd been trying to do, all the edgy stuff, and just stuck with that. Got her permission, and it just was way easier, and I could focus on the visual side of stuff and have fun. So most of my projects now, I just tend to focus on making them look cool, and I'll put a bit of storytelling in there. It's good to have a reason why something exists, why a space like this diorama exists. I should as hell don't know why it exists, but maybe it was a temple. It obviously still is a temple. There is definitely stuff that doesn't make sense. For instance, if this is newly overflowed, why are there water lilies growing in the water? So my projects don't really make sense anymore, but I like to have fun with them. I did try to look for my notes from my FMP in my notebook. I have notes from after I'd decided what I was doing, notes from my FMP pitch when I had to try and convince my tutors that I wasn't crazy. I've got written in capital letters, apologise for wordiness, for my pitch. Can't decide whether to optimise or make high poly and pretty. Can't decide whether to paint in lighting or generate with light maps. Don't know how to optimise. Let's get back to the point when I find my notes. So in January of this time last year, I travelled abroad solo for the first time. I'd left Creative Assembly and I was just doing my own thing, wanted to see some places. Rome is a good start. So I took a lot of photos there, which I've used for quite a lot of inspiration. So I'll just drag this over. There's nothing like crazy in here. These are all super well-known places that I went to. But I just love all of this brickwork, statues. I love this red brick and the green. So this was where I first started getting super inspired by stuff. So So this was my first time just seeing all this cool stuff. Baths of Caracalla, and yeah, it was really awesome. I went walking down this like road forever, and there's all these just forgotten, sad old restaurants that no one goes to, and cool doors, and it's all a bit shut down. So this was the beginnings of me getting super inspired by like these colors and these styles of architecture. And if I go to my art station, this is what I did after that. And this was the beginnings of just finding my thing that I like to do. And after that, I went to various other places as well, but I tend to stay quite focused on Rome and just places that I've been inspired by in Rome, like gardens hidden in corners and trees surrounding them. This is fully ripped out of the Roman Forum stuff. So for me, I found my thing that I like. Derelict places, bright sunlit environments. I'm really into exploring like abandoned places. So I'd go, if I pull this over here, I'd go find like abandoned places and take photos whenever I could. Where else did I go? This was cool. Just like an abandoned earthworks factory. So finding these places when they're sunny and capturing them at their best is just really cool. I also go to Pinterest a lot because Pinterest just has the stuff that I like. So this was the mood board that I made for that diorama, and just lots of pretty lighting, water, foliage. Every diorama I make ever has a mood board that looks basically exactly the same as this, just with different pictures. I'm really into my tile work. There's tile work, it's greenery, it's water, water lilies, sunlight. It's the same for everything. I just like doing that. Try to find a lot of inspiration in just surroundings as well. So you don't need to go to Rome or whatever to find this cool stuff. Just the simplest things can just be really inspiring. I might see interesting floor tiles while I'm out about in like London, or just at some obscure, I don't know, like outside the supermarket or something, and I'll just take a little photo on my phone, and I might never come back to it ever, but it's on my phone so I can go to it if I really need to. I like plants, so I take a lot of photos of plants. I went to, I think it's called Wisley. I don't actually know how to pronounce it, but I just took a million photos of just epic plants. Like, how cool are those colours? So all my future projects will just have epic colour schemes now. Man, they're just so cool. So plants, again, sunny days. I like taking photos on sunny days. That's sort of my best time, my most inspired time. Some people might be more inspired by stormy weather or something like that. Colours are a massive part of what inspires me, which is why I like taking photos of plants and things so much, because they're just such a wealth of colour information. And I'm really into colourful brickwork and interesting tiles and contrasting those against each other. I just always look for something interesting in my surroundings, even if it is a grey, rainy day. So I like taking interesting architecture, like different styles, colours, interesting plants, or just make up plants as well. Why not? And throw them in mood boards, mash them together in Photoshop to make photo bashes, build my concepts, which is what I'll be talking about in the future. It's super self-indulgent. Even when I started doing my final major project, it was already becoming a self-indulgent thing. But art ultimately is something that's for you to enjoy. Don't be afraid to just have fun with your art and that it's hard to do at first when you're learning because you're just constantly fighting up against all the technical shit, or just learning how to paint, and I'm still fighting all the time. That's why I work over 3D blockouts all the time. I mean, there's other reasons too, which I'll go into, but I can't really do perspective and I can't really paint lighting, so I just use a 3D blockout ultimately, and then just layer all the interesting colors and designs and stuff over the top. My main concern is making fun stuff and just getting that out of my system, and hopefully the good jobs and things come with that, because if you're making stuff you're inspired by, you're making cool shit, hopefully. Yeah. So my projects always start with these grey boxes that I make. So if I hide this guy and this guy, turn everything on in here, I have them all set to not be visible for the sake of, oh yeah, this project's available for download. That's why all of this is off and labelled. So if I turn off actor hidden in game, this was my original blockout. So I'm going to talk about this some in my next video, and how this goes into concepting. That ended up way longer than I thought it would. I'm sorry, I'm ranty. The next videos will be more technical, they'll focus more on a specific thing. This was kind of like the airy-fairy starting a project, be inspired and be yourself thing. The next video will be more like concepting, here's how I do it and stuff, probably. So thanks for watching. I don't know when my next one will be because I haven't recorded it yet, sorry, but I hope you enjoyed, and keep an eye out for my next video.